about now? What about now?
No, nothing.
What about now?
There's nothing.
Nope.
Nothing at all. I've got my volume right up high, Kaz. If there was something, I'd hear it through here.
Well, I've got no idea because this says it's working fine.
Simon says you said join the Air Force. At least he's got a sense of humor. Wait, they can hear you. I can hear you.
They can hear me.
Good. It's good. It's good now.
This is what a fugazi setup this is. We hear. Okay. Audio copy that.
Pepsi.
Got no idea. Don't tell me that Pepsi helped our stream. Upside down, Miss Jane. Okay, guys and girls, like I was saying, welcome to Scumbag, lovely queen of the desert. Lauren is shining. She is here now.
I am.
Tonight, we're talking about something so serious in the absence of knowing where to go. In a week where we started with thousands of people alive saying there may not be attack, that the rat was here to do something maybe even righteous that we didn't know until we researched. But beyond all expectations, he proved us right, and the fact that Russia was not just a straw man, it was actually something to fear. And after doing some research, which you can look below in the whole reason why NATO was created, I've left the links below. It's a US Army made video, documentary, that was done in 1958 by what looks like a British soldier in an American uniform that's done so well.
Yeah, because we've been learning a lot, haven't we?
So much.
Things we presume we know, and then you look deeper and you realise you actually have to question what you think of things.
And the thing is, guys and gals, that people will say to you, I'm not interested. It does, and turn their back on it. This is going to affect everyone. This is a fabric change. We have seen people acting in a way that should not be tolerated by the world, and the world is metaphorically putting a rock in their hand to assist them to throw at a bigger kid who's smacking the shit out of them. That doesn't make sense. If you can give someone a weapon, you might as well back them up on the battlefront. That's what I reckon. Hey, Simon, there you go, mate. I see what you said. I don't know how this Pepsi got snuck into this studio.
Oh, yeah, sure. You have a lot of mysterious Pepsi incidents.
We do. Guys, what I'd like to say is a question to you using the Socratic method. How far is too far? A bridge too far?
Yep.
At what stage do you have to look at the children and say, look, although my name is Zelensky, who is the leader and a married man, 44 years old, born in 1978.
Wow.
He's been with his wife for over 20 years. She's got more than 2 million Instagram followers, but keeps away from his political situation. So the lady's swiping right on him. Don't worry, you don't have a chance. She's hot as hell, and I'll show you in a second. And at what stage does either Putin or Zelensky need to be dragged aside and looked in the eyes of children and say, what am I doing? This is supposed to be a union of countries, of people, of kin. If what the rat was saying was his actual motive, it's not his motive. And I don't believe he's going to stop at all with the Ukraine at all.
No, exactly. No, I don't think so either. There's an interesting comment here right off the bat. Would you like it?
Yeah, go.
Okay, because I think it's something that we sort of thought about, and I think we changed our minds about. Papa Palps says, hey, Kaz, I don't know if this is right, but I feel like this war is the result of decades of the world being anti-Russian. But to be honest with you, what it says to me is that the world was right after his behaviour right now.
Well, and that's why I put the video in, because lovely Lauren and myself had a bit of a debate the other day on the origins of NATO, and was it in fact invented to make sure that the the communism message was not
Yep.
spread, okay, across the Western world, which was a mess at the time, a hot mess. And then when you watch the documentary, which I'll put the links down to below, which is of a British soldier wearing an American uniform giving a documentary in 1958, it is crystal clear. Ask the people of Czechoslovakia what happened to them, now known as the Czech Republic and Slovakia. Ask the people of Greece, who had a civil war based on misinformation that was being spread through there. You know,
Yeah.
ask Turkey, who got not a reprimand, got basically told, join us or fight us. And the world came together and said, hey, mate, settle down. Because what happened after World War II, when all of the other countries went home and said hello to each other's wives and then eventually got home to their own, you know, they demilitarized. The US,
Yep.
Russia didn't. They actually built things up. They swept left. They took Eastern Germany. They were all the way into Western
Yep.
Europe before they actually hit the entire Western world, said no, and reinforced a blockade that was about to close Germany down completely. They won that after 9 or 11 months, you know, and Germany was rescued, half of it. You know, and so multiple times they have made this incursion to try and take the rest of Western Europe, going all the way back to Mongolian times. That has been the MO down there in that fractured situation. So there was nothing accidental about this, and I wish that I'd done more of my homework so I could have seen it before.
Yeah, exactly. Same. We had no reason to look into it. It's so far away from us that it's hard to see the relevance until something like this happens. And I was actually, to be honest with you, I feel like a bit of a good because I was actually pretty anti-NATO. Like, remember when we were first talking about this?
Yeah.
We did lay a lot of the blame on NATO. But truly, the behaviour I saw today proved to me that they need a leash on them.
The result of decades. And you know what? You could probably look at some information, Lauren, that would lead you to also look at things that have gone horribly wrong, you know, from the point of view of those that have lost their lives to NATO forces. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so you can make the narrative fit regardless of how you want to look at it. But
Major Payne has said that he thinks it's not Russia's fault. Well, I'm saying if they're the invading force, it is definitely their fault.
I would have thought that until last week. I would have thought that last week. I did think that till last week until now.
Yeah, we did. We both thought that. We both thought, oh, just give them those territories that want to be Russian and leave it alone. But it's different now. So much has changed.
Yeah. Ace is saying, I always agree with him, more homework is a good idea. Absolutely. We never claim to be 100% right here, but I am right at least 67% of the time that I say that I'm 100% right.
Exactly. But it's wisdom to be able to question your own prejudices and that as well, because you have to go, whose propaganda am I listening to? Sometimes that's what the whole world seems like. And let me tell you, that Russian propaganda machine is working overtime and has been for a long time, lest we even talk about fracking.
Yeah, good point. But regardless of that, you could put people into several camps here, but at the end of the day, we are also the people sitting in air conditioning, thank you, Demo, you know, considering consuming a Coca-Cola in the absence of the British toothpaste being Coca-Cola. Coke is it. And it's easy for us to have the opinions, but we're not in -1 degree at the moment in Yugoslavia saying, do I stay or do I go? And dancing to this and thinking, you know, I'm here, I'm going to fight forever until it's one of my family members that actually receives it. So when I look at Mr. Zelensky's family, what I see is this 44-year-old guy, full of life. His lovely wife to his right, like we said, she's got over 2 million Instagram followers. You know, he's got his lovely children. What does this mean to us? G'day, Mr. Vids, the Wasp. Okay, our Navy contingent. But what this tells me is at least we've got a politician who's looking through the lens of a parent and understands what is on the poker table and what can be lost. So that is very, very important that your government officials all have children. Otherwise, they may not be able to look through it through the eyes of those that keep a country moving forward and basically keeping it also probably calm. Yep. I quite like the idea that I found out he was a father. But this is going to be a tough one for us because, g'day Lurker, Red Man Dead Redemption. It'd be very easy to say, no, you never give up, you fight forever. But at the moment, this is the thing, Lauren.
Yep.
We have had, we've had the West say now, we are not going to help you. We're not going to elevate this into WW3. We will hand you the rocks to throw at Putin, okay? And that's all we're going to do. So now that you know the inevitable is eventually going to become the destination, the final destination of the poorest nation in Europe, which is Ukraine, how the hell are they ever going to get back on their feet? There has to be a time, a red line, where he decides to be the first person with his weapon that says, in the absence of assistance from the outside world, which someone could break away from NATO and help them, you know, if they do not do that, what is going to be left if he doesn't be the first person to lay his weapon down and say, the burden of command, you will not be happy if I fight forever as you lose your family. You know, you will not be happy as you lose your city, everything you've ever owned. You won't be happy if I don't give up. You know, you won't be happy if I do give up. But eventually the commander-in-chief has to look at it and say, thank you very much, world, for not coming to our assistance, for letting a bully a smaller country after saying this can't happen in today's society. And what I'd do to Mr. Zelensky is I'd say, what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my weapon down to save the families that are here right now. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow everyone to migrate to your borders, and then you can pick up the mess. Because I do not know where you would go to start and pick up, clean up, and rehabilitate, you know, after an occupation, which will be forever, from Russian forces, inserted Russian population, to get that place back up and running. They're never going to be compliant. They're never going to work for you. You've got this multi-mash of cultures where you've got communism meeting Western values, capitalism, you know, and they don't go well. It's salt and bloody fresh water mixing together. Oil, water, whatever you want to call it. So it's going to be a mess forever. So eventually you've got to get to a stage where you go, do I save the lives? In 100 years from now, will this become a migration story in the book of Ukraine, where all of the people that, if he doesn't put his weapon down, will fail to exist eventually, through brutality, cruelty, etc., by the hands of people who eventually come to hate them after people from the Ukraine have put out special forces saying that they won't take prisoners when it comes to Russian artillery, etc. You can't say that. You don't ever say how you're going to treat prisoners, because if you do, they'll treat you the same. And then it becomes hatred, and then there's no laws of armed conflict, and I've seen what that looks like, and you can call that Rwanda.
Yeah. There's a lot of folks in the chat who seem to think we're shying away from talking about NATO. We never have.
No, absolutely not.
And we're certainly not today. But I'd like to just make this absolutely clear. I'm, maybe stupidly or not, I am an extremely patriotic Australian.
Yep.
And part of being an extremely patriotic Australian means being on the side of Australia's allies. And that's actually really important. And at this stage, NATO is full of Australian allies. So after reading about it, like, I have really, we both did. We went in deep to find out everything we could about NATO. And truthfully, if you listen back to Kaz and I talking about NATO, we blamed them for this conflict.
Yeah. They could call this off right away by saying, Ukraine, you will never be part of, the NATO alliance, because you also have to be out of conflict. You're supposed to be able to contribute to the requirements, which they don't do. Let's call it for what it is. NATO has not kept up their side of the bargain. Now they're shitting themselves.
I don't know.
Now they're trying to grow.
I'm starting to think NATO, like Stickman just said, of all the acronyms, NATO is the only one worth keeping. Like I said to you today, I used to think of NATO as if I put it in the same basket as the League of Nations. But today I took it out of that basket and challenged my own ideas about it.
I
And
keep,
that was all because of Russia's actions.
I keep thinking the League of Nations is like, superheroes and stuff. I tell you one thing, after working with them multiple times, you'd rather have NATO at your back than UN. United Nations.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh my God. They don't really have a kinetic ability to engage with the rat in the night. Okay.
Yeah.
Their job is to go and clean up. They're the ones that turn up to the yellow tape.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the way that this has been handled, especially with the behaviour that we saw today, willing to risk so much, it was haphazard. It was negligent at the very best. And I think today has proven to me that, yes, absolutely, I think Russia needs to be kept on a leash.
I think Russia has made a really big mistake with this one militarily. They've shown they're very inept, and that there is a chink in their armour. They're like the first time that Ivan Drago, don't mind the pun, got knocked down by Sylvester Stallone. What Rocky movie was that, team? Let me know. I reckon it was the best one. Let us know which Rocky was it. Ivan Drago was the guy. I would say there is absolutely, without a doubt, massive corruption within NATO, massive corruption within UN, massive corruption within an
organisation that doesn't have it,
Western Europe has got thousands of years of history with people living in the same postcode. They shook the hard-working, patriotic people to the bottom a long time ago, and the fat cats have got to where they are, and they've stayed there.
Yep, exactly.
I heard from one commentator, Putin is more of a czarist autocracy system rather than communist. Oh, look, I don't know if anyone's truly communist.
I don't know if any of them are good.
Bernie Sanders has got 3 houses, and claims to be socialist. It's...
Yeah. It comes to the point of when you've got... people hate this. There is good guys and there is bad guys. Now, you might not like that, and it's polarizing to think, but you see a nation doing things, and Russia isn't the only one. If you see a nation doing things that most of the other nations go, don't do that, that's awful, you've crossed the line, that nation is dangerous.
Yeah.
And you have to meet danger like that. You have to keep an eye on these nations. Otherwise, what is to stop them being totally expansionistic?
It's true. Simon Powell got it right. He just pepped out Private Pile, Rocky IV. It has got some of the best motivational music if you ever want to flog yourself in the gym, and I don't mean masturbation.
Yeah, exactly. And please don't think I'm against the Russian people. I feel very sorry for them. I feel for them the same as I feel for North Korean people.
I could not imagine what it would be like to be in Russia at the moment and be getting fed mixtures of fake news, casualty numbers, where is your son right now, and just watching as your stock market plummets, while your dollar is basically falling off a cliff, and you're at a tender age, or you're in a position where you're barely getting by. Now, all of a sudden, a can of Coke costs more than what you're earning. It'd be terrible.
Exactly. Adam Leddy is here from Germany. He said, rapid capability and capacity ramp up is required, but it will be difficult. It will be really difficult. Yeah. That was made clear today.
What's this gentleman's name from Germany?
Adam Leddy.
Hey, Adam. Welcome here, mate. Make sure you subscribe. We've got a few Germans in our channel, actually, mate, or Joymans.
Yeah, and we have an expat Aussie living in Germany who's a paramedic.
Player 100. Aussie Player 100. Saving lives every day in the streets of Germany.
Lurker, the West might be doing the same thing, but we are the West.
Yeah. Sometimes Australia thinks that we are going to be untouched, but like when we watched what happened today, although there was a bit of spin on it, on the conflict that was happening around the biggest European nuclear power plant, and it looks like it was a military takeover, possible resistance that happened there, rather than attacking the actual reactors themselves.
Yeah, I think
as a soldier, I'm not in a hurry to fire munitions at an installation.
Exactly. Yeah, I think we should all welcome Adam because he's a former soldier, And he said, the sleeping giant is awakening. It will take longer than anticipated. I live 1,500 kilometres from the current combat, and it's more real, and Europeans are taking it seriously. I bet you are, especially after today. That changed everything for me, Adam.
And Adam, what I'd like you to do, if you haven't seen it already there, my brother, is have a look at the link that's below about the documentary from 1958 of how close, Germany was to losing their entire country, to Russia. And it took all of the countries that had formerly been fighting Germany that kept them going just long enough to break the blockade when Russia was sweeping across to the west to take the entire lot. Now, I'm not the smartest man, smarter than some. But if someone said to me, I've got to learn another language in my own country that I've lost my freedom to, what do? Do you fight the system, or do you take on the thought process that you can survive anywhere as long as you stay between the left and right of arc? And there's plenty of red corn chip countries similar to that. I don't know. It's what we felt like we were living in for the last 2 years anyway, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's what
exactly.
It felt like to be restricted, constricted, and not have an opinion or a say. And it felt terrible. I could only imagine what that'd be like if it was permanent.
Exactly. And yes, they were firing in the vicinity of a nuclear power plant today. And that is, like I said, they're doing that with knowledge. Yep. And at this point, I was just thinking it was Putin gone mad, but now it's his whole cabinet, and that there's got to be someone who has the power to put an end to this madness.
Yeah, and the Australian stock market done an absolute horseshoe today. If you think this stuff doesn't affect us, at one stage today, I'm not going to tell you how many zeros I was up in the green, and as soon as that video came out about what was happening at that power plant, turned around, all gains for the day gone, and what it done was create the exact opposite amount of loss. And that happened in a couple of seconds. Across all indices of our stock market, the ASX. To go back to the bank account and say you can't get money out, you can't exchange money, right? And what you had is being devalued, but you still got to go to work and do what you have to do today. That'd be a hard cop. This is what I always think of in the background team. And if you don't have children, you don't have children. It's fun making them. This is what I always come back to. Having done a career in military, and now to be out of the army, and now to see other people going through it, I know that I've made it through the other side of the pipe, and now I get to actually embrace the my little lady. But to know that there's people that are fighting in the Ukraine with the loaf of bread, you don't know when it's going to go off, to know that you may never see your child again. What do you do? What are you fighting for? When is it time to lay the weapons down and say the cost is way too high when we've been told that no one is coming? Maybe there's inside information. Maybe it's getting snuck through saying, hey, dudes, just hang on a little bit longer. We're encircling Russia, the dancing rat, and there's going to be a problem. Maybe there's going to be a breakaway state where someone says, no, not on my watch. But what about Mr. Putin too? When is he going to look at this and go, dude, this is not what I wanted it to look like? I'm seeing children trying to get the hell out of Dodge. This is not what I wanted. And I know this is only one step amongst many others of the expansion that's going to take me right up to the NATO borders, despite the fact that NATO said they'd never come further to the east. Well, guess what? Every action has a reaction. And I've chosen action, so what do I expect in return? You can't say, hey, I'm going to throw these kind of punches and expect people to be scared forever. Eventually they're going to test the horns and have a go. Or maybe the longer this lasts, the more chances someone's going to walk up and say, Mr. Putin, your scallops are ready. And then sit back watching to see how spicy they are.
Yeah, exactly.
Windscreen's O'Brien, fantastic name.
Has said, from what I've read, they were shelling a different one, apparently 6 times bigger. It's a lot bigger, but it does actually have a different kind of uranium in it than Chernobyl did. And it's called the Zaporizhia. I'm sure I've said that wrong, but that's what the name of the facility is. and it has a totally different sort of fuel cell than Chernobyl had, which is less dangerous. But of course, any nuclear meltdown is a nightmare for everyone. Europe is a very tightly closed-in continent, and even all the way to Britain will suffer.
Adam, I'm hearing what you're saying there too, my mate.
Adam's smart. He's got a vested interest in this. If you're living in Europe, I think we all have a vested interest in this after today.
Yeah, anyone that likes humanity, Yeah.
But listen, I've got it. Okay, Merckx said America and NATO has the power to stop pushing east and poking the bear. And I responded by saying, just let them have whatever they want, like a spoiled child. And then Merckx is replying with, how else do you stop a nuclear power? That's not stopping a nuclear power. No. That's saying you can be king of the world. There's two big differences there.
I don't believe it's going to stop at Ukraine at all.
No, I don't think it's not. They've said it's not.
Honestly, guys, I've got a whole bunch of people I have conversations with from the moment I get up to the moment I get on the stream, and there's things I can and can't talk about that I don't talk about. We've got 6 knots here. G'day, mate. How you going? What's the relevance of 6 knots? Can you let us know? Is that a Chinese proverb?
6 knots? Yeah, I don't know. I think we've seen 6 knots before, though. I think 6 knots was with us last week. I might be wrong.
Imagine if Windscreen O'Brien was actually a feminist and is trying to break through that glass ceiling.
The glass ceiling. Well, Charlie and Willy Wonka did.
Yes, I love it talking to the guys. Make sure you hit like if you do, team. If you don't like it, but we're an Aussie channel. We're trying to put a voice of reason out there, give you something other than what you're seeing at the moment, where you don't have a voice whatsoever, and you've got to regurgitate what you can get from mainstream media.
Exactly. It's like people are saying, but if NATO didn't push further east, truly today I actually understand what NATO is doing.
Yeah.
And I don't think I understood it before, and I'm not against it. In actual fact, I feel quite relieved they're there.
Well, there is bigger fear to Russia as what Russia's nuclear weapons are to NATO.
Exactly. So
because he is the kind of guy, and his own colleagues say that the Dancing Rat is the kind of guy that would absolutely use that weapon system. And let's be honest here, and you have heard me say this a million times. I honestly did not dislike Putin or the way he led his country, because you have to have an iron fist in Eastern Europe. Exactly. And his people loved him.
Yep, exactly.
123% of them.
Yeah, and we gave him a fair go. We're Aussies. We give people a fair go.
We gave him a fair go. But that's all changed now. That's all changed.
And it was changed by his actions, not some media feeding us propaganda. We'd like you to know. We've looked carefully. We're able to look objectively, and we're able to make up our own mind on it. And I won't ever finalise my mindset on something until I've run it past Kaz. We bounce off each other the news and things we've heard, then we go fact check, and then we kind of can get a bigger picture.
Can you just read, because your voice is better than mine, Aussie Cactus guys?
Yeah, sure.
Trying to read it.
Like I said, I've decided I'm going over there. Oh, you have? Okay. Would have been nice. No, Kaz doesn't answer emails.
I don't ever answer emails.
You have to go to the pantry. He gets so many emails. I don't know if you appreciate how many people he has contacting him.
I've got nearly 60,000 now. Emails.
Yeah, don't come and have a tantrum about him not reading your email. Just go to the link I'm going to put in the chat, which is the Patreon, and then you get access to a telephone. He can't read all his emails. That would be impossible. You'd need a secretary.
Guys, you may not realise, but the people that are on the bat phone, if when you get on that Patreon link below, that's where you get to have the one-on-one conversation for the price of one coffee a month. When I get on there, I'm normally speaking to that candidate for at least an hour. So I spoke to Sammy Davis, for over an hour a couple of days ago. Didn't realise Sammy Davis is a lady.
You're always misgendering folk.
Yeah. But, guys, there's absolutely no disrespect in that if I miss something, because, honestly, to answer all the comments that you get either in a given day as well, remember I've got over 300 and something videos,
Exactly.
on this channel, plus a website, plus Facebook, plus being a dad. Impossible.
Yep.
Impossible.
Yeah, exactly. Simon Powell had to go, but he said goodbye to you.
Bye, Simon.
And we've got Taha El.
Can I just go back to that one question for a second?
Oh, yeah.
Just be aware that there has been direction that's given out to anyone that looks like going over to Ukraine that you'll be considered a radical individual when you come back and may not even be allowed to come back into the country. That's not a new rule. That was there when there was also people going over for different reasons and motivations to previous conflicts when they were going over to support different elements. So make sure you do your homework, because you may be on some sort of register. You may not be allowed to get out. You may not be allowed to come back. And is the life that you have now in what I'd argue to be the best country in the world, if you don't know anyone from Ukraine, why would you be going there?
Yeah,
you're not going to make any difference. It just makes you look like a sociopath. So be careful.
To me, it's looking like, well, 1 minute you're worried about China, but the next minute, everyone's forgotten about it. And truthfully, maybe people should stay here in case we need them. Who would have thought this would happen there? We need to look after our own region. Now, Taha, I can't say your last name.
Sorry,
I'm
what's
so sorry.
your X4? So, I can't even read that. Sorry.
I'll get to that in a second. This cow.
It's coming. You go.
Can I just read this one comment?
Yeah, of course.
First? He said, "Hi team, glad I could catch one last stream before my enlistment next week. Cheers, Kaz, for all the help. Crazy what's going on in Ukraine right now. If that's your real name, Taha, just change it."
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, that's right. And we've got something more to touch on that, because some information's come out today about enlisting and going to Kapuka at the moment, because Big Carl is there right now. He's got there in the last 2 hours. So we'll be talking on that after the green cow, the swamp thing, the what do you call it? Chernobyl drinking water.
Oh God, too soon.
Okay.
Nureyev Pereira is there with a green cow.
Thank you, sir.
He said, "I'm going to Kapuka on the 22nd of March. Oh, that's coming up quick.
Real quick.
Thanks for your advice. You helped me to realise that this is the way of life that I want to live. Good on you. We're proud of you."
That's great work, mate. And you know what? At the end of the day, and I say that too often, we've had people today that got to Kapuka in the last hour, where we already know people turned up basically late. And every time they got told, be at this place in the morning by this time, late. Get on the bus at this time, late. And ultimately, if you do something wrong, you're on the government's coin, whether it be Army Reserve or whether it be regular Army. And everyone will pay for one person's mistake.
Exactly.
Turn up ready to go, whether it be fitness, do it for yourself, do it for the ladies, do it for the guys. And do it for your family name. Because if you turn up unprepared, everyone suffers. And one of the things that I said when I had a great conversation, you'd agree with this one, Daz, and Ace and Stickman, and Adam, you'd definitely understand this one. When people question me about what sort of culture do I have to be worried about in the military, I'd explain to you that the culture that we have in the military is a doppelganger, a mirror image of any male-dominated profession, and that is the runt is rarely tolerated. It doesn't mean we bring physical violence to you. But what it does mean is don't expect people to like you if you turn up unprepared, if you turn up weak, if you turn up a non-team player, if you turn up sensitive, if you turn up with restrictions that you cannot be as effective as others by something that you could have done differently or more of in preparation. Don't expect a red carpet. You're not going to get it. And you know what? And if it's female dominated, it may not be physical, but you will get the same treatment, but it'll probably be more in a ostracization sort of way.
Yeah, the Queen Bee syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's someone at Kapuka right now who's already, I think worn out almost all their 9 lives. And they've only just got there.
Yeah. Carl will be loving it though, our Carl.
Help me to help you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, look, even Adam, who is in Europe, is saying the same, that our region isn't exactly stable right now,
yeah.
And that there's things happening that we're not even seeing because of what's happening in Europe. And so that would really be my message to anyone thinking about going over there, is that, well, we might need you here and you might end up a long way from home, no communications. I believe the power's just about gone out today. So they're even going to need to bring power from somewhere else to restart this power plant if they get it back.
25% of their entire country's power right there.
Exactly, and you might end up over there, no way to find out what's going on at home. And what if a similar thing happened here? We can't forget the beef and the problems we've got in our own region.
And you're talking about, and being from over there and our Canadian and UK viewers, you're dealing with a country that's in winter,
Yep.
And so basically what's happening at the moment is you're also fighting nature. Should you get wounded? Should you get ostracized from those that are supporting you? Should you be hiding? Imagine getting wet, getting snow landing on you, and then you're hiding in a field while you can hear the shooting happening. So the nature, asks all the necessary questions of your ability to operate as well. Operating weapon systems with dexterity. Do you keep the gloves on to keep your hands warm, or do you take them off so you can use your equipment better, but then ultimately end up with numb fingers and can't use them at all? There's so many dramas that happen working in these environments. It's not going to end well. It is going to get worse. I cannot see Mr. Zelensky putting his weapons down. I cannot see Putin putting his weapons down. Eventually, someone's going to put their nose in, and that's where this escalates.
I think, folks, not us in particular, but I do believe now it is that what happened today, to me, was seen as like almost an act against the whole of Europe. It was almost like a declaration of harm.
A hint of where it could go.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like a threat. And I thought that's it. I feel like he might even be trying to draw other nations in because they haven't reacted the way he wanted them to.
Steve, you're exactly right too, mate. The basically what happened was when nuclear power got taken off the table by a lot of the Greta Thunbergs, basically what happened was the reliance back on fossil fuels came again, and those fossil fuels all came pretty much 60% from one area. Now, when you become reliant to the shop, to the video easy, to the petrol station, to the hooker, where you get all your needs delivered.
Yeah, exactly. Germany's not alone. We talked about this just the other day, didn't we? Because I was looking into the gas and the energy that comes from Russia, and how it was actually, I really learnt a lot this week. It was like basically Russian misinformation put out that fracking was so dangerous. They didn't even need to spread it. There's a teenager who hasn't been to school for 6 years who's been spreading it. And it's, fracking would have actually meant that most of Europe could have had their own gas and power supplies.
Yep. And
so they have a monopoly.
I think what happens is people try to get a perfect solution.
Yeah.
And there is none. It's like this. All of this can be for naught. It might be over as quick as it started, but who is going to put this together again? It's hard enough in Lismore for them to get the tradies in, get the lawyers in, get the insurance companies in and just fix Lismore. What's it going to be like when you've got an entire country and then you start finding human remains and then you start finding graveyards that you didn't realise? There's going to be... the longer this goes for, it's only gone for a week. It's going to get worse. So what would be the red line for Mr. Putin to say this is not working? I've defeated my mission has been defeated to win hearts and minds, if that was ever what it was. Or what about Mr. Zelensky when he says there's nothing left to defend? Are we hanging on out of pure stoicism, but ultimately going to end up with nothing?
And at what point do we, because it's obvious after today that they're intent on raising the place, to prove a point. And I think you have to weigh up the cost and say, should I lose this battle and maybe end up winning a future for my people? Yeah, I get what you're saying. But you know what? I'm not against nuclear power, but what happened today has made me think, is it worth the risk? How do we protect power plants in the future?
Look, I think we definitely should. And there's power, and You know, when you've got something that is going to be the evolution of anything. You know, people used to mock people for having cars when they were in horses in the streets in New York and Australia. You know, the change, you know, everyone has always thought about Chernobyl and Fukushima when they think of power plants.
Exactly.
You know, and as long as the siting is in an area, you know,
Yep.
contaminated waste is a big thing, but, you know, it's a tough thing being human, isn't it?
Exactly. And it's, you know, it's kind of a hard thing. They're right, the green solution is slipping away. It is. And we don't ever think that Kaz and I are environmental terrorists. We love nature and we're always we pick up litter, for heaven's sakes. We you know, we don't lean too far either way. Okay, so please don't try to pigeonhole us. We make up our own minds about individual issues. So we do care about the environment.
Can I just jump in there for 2 seconds? When you see people that are fully radicalised left or right, the way I've always looked at the diagram is consider a complete circle, you know, and the radicals fall to the bottom and they're actually part of the same circle where the lines come and join. It's just that they chose their state of origin side. Someone can go too far right, they can go too far left.
It's true.
You know, and it's always been that way, guys. It's always been that way.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how the Egyptians feed themselves up with.
I think it's not feed themselves. You should have got
fix themselves. I need Aussie cactus. I need to go to Specsavers, dude. You know, you got to be careful. There's a lot of guys with those dumb haircuts down there that have nothing on here and a mullet on the back. I don't know where that came from. I thought that was caused by Chernobyl water drinking. But sometimes I've looked at a few of those going, she looks fit. And then they turn around and you go, nope, that's a dude.
I'm glad you're enjoying the conversation, Adam. We don't like to be shy about things.
Mackie 10, I'd be quite happy to have nuclear power in Australia. I'd be happy to put my hand up and ask for it. Sorry, eyes, buttons.
That's you, Marksy. He's talking to.
I'd be happy to do that. And if someone can educate me on why not, I'd be listening, you know. But we have to be open to almost everything except touching someone of the same sex in anything other than aggression.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, like, Six Knots said he works in the power industry and he's against nuclear power. And I just asked him to enlighten us. But please do use layman's terms because if it's something we have learnt this week, it's that we really do need to, every single subject you need to really look into.
And it's really interesting. I didn't think that Zelensky had kids. Being 44 years old and the world leader, 7 years younger than me, and he's already in charge of a country.
I know, right?
He's doing a great job.
He's doing a great job, yeah.
But depends on what you gauge a great job.
Exactly. At what point do you just let the mugger have your handbag?
That's a good analogy. Politics is like a road too far left or right, and you're in the gutter.
Yeah,
not bad.
He's not stupid. Yeah, exactly.
Not bad.
Yeah.
All good. Yeah, I'd love to have nuclear cheap. And you know the reason we're getting a lot of these problems is because people actually started to say, and you hear it all the time, do not talk about religion, do not talk about politics, or you'll learn more about the people that you hang out with are more adversary than friend. But in saying that, now we've got to the stage where grown adults that pay tax, that don't break laws, all of them, are unable to even have an adult conversation until it's 11:30 to backyard piss up, and they've stopped talking about footy and sports and V8s and boats. You know, if you have real communication in different areas and you're able to keep your tongue, you know, and communicate, you know, it's a fantastic way of living. Some people call it red pilled.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people call it MGTOW. Yeah, I'm a bit of both.
Yep. I think Papa Palps has said, wouldn't having nuclear power bug China? Here's the thing. I'm actually not worried about annoying our enemies. We need to live our own lives free, our own nation, make our own decisions for it without being so scared of other nations to not do it.
But there's also a massive difference between nuclear power and nuclear weapon systems. Massive difference. You know, massive difference.
Yep, I agree. I agree. There's a huge difference. And also, when you are so frightened of another nation like that, then there's something terribly wrong with the other nation if they are so intent on taking away the autonomy of a nation. That's very dangerous.
Smokey B just said a good thing too. I believe New Zealand being nuclear free is dumb.
Yep.
We won't even allow our allies
Yep.
to come here, protect me, but don't come into my waters. You know, and
Yep.
that's also talking about nuclear powered vessels
Like
that don't
ships and
have a
things,
weapon, don't have a weaponized capability.
Yeah, exactly. I think we used to have a similar thing back in the 80s, but I believe we've gotten over that now.
Yeah, that could be because some people are protecting the fossil fuel industries as well. I understand that, you know, how can Jacinda Ardern go from having like $600,000 before she was the Prime Minister of New Zealand? Now she's got, I think, 26 million. Please explain how that happened during a pandemic.
Exactly. We need transparency, don't we? We need to know what shares they have, what shares their cousins have. We need to know all about all of their interests, I'm afraid. Roger Ramjet said, while everyone is watching Europe, I wonder what the corn chip is up to. They are certainly quiet. And you know what? We can't take our eye off that corn chip.
I think they might be also learning a lesson going, holy shit, I'm glad that they did it without us. Because remember that if you had USA, okay, and the regions around the red corn chip and Europe all of a sudden take away anything that they take from the red corn chip, they'd be bankrupt in a week. They're already in massive problems economically, you know, with their shadow debt between their provinces.
Bye, Adam. Adam's on a train to Berlin. He's got to go. Bye, Adam. It was really nice to have you here.
See ya. I just found a fantastic channel actually about a guy that travels all over the world in your coach class on trains. You know, it's amazing. You know, I'm not a train freak, but I do like sitting on my ass for 24 or 48 hours.
I love train travel. It's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just put a link in there for you, Adam, which will give you access to the phone, the bat phone.
Yeah, and there's a link straight down. There's a link down below about NATO, how it came about. I put that down in in comments below so people can find it.
I'm glad you did that because I was really confused looking for how all of that. It was very difficult. I found the words even hard to understand.
Yeah. It's guys, it's a tough subject, but we can't come on here and always just talk about exactly the same thing. It's important that the people that could be, you know, affected next actually have communication about topics from a neutral standpoint, but still give weight to what your potentially lived experience, knowledge, research is. You know, and we don't expect you to have 100% accuracy of everything we say, but opinions start conversations. And if conversations are done in a logical and respectful manner, then what can happen is you can get to a semblance of the truth instead of people circle jerking within their own areas and saying that they don't appreciate my point of view. We do appreciate your point of view.
Exactly.
And if you can educate us, put it in there.
But that being said, Kaz, maybe this is just me, and maybe I'm just old-fashioned and a bit stubborn. If you are 16 and haven't even finished school and have no life experience that matches even mine as a woman, I'm probably going to take your opinion with a grain of salt.
I've been taught things by all sorts of people I didn't expect. And I've definitely been taught lessons by people in foreign countries.
Without the teenagers, I wouldn't be able to work my computer.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about things that we've lived through, like the threat of nuclear war and that before, I'm not really going to be listening. You have to stay in your lane.
Yeah, every 4 years, 2 to 4 years, we become a different version of who we are.
It's true.
And if I drew a list of the things that I hang my head in shame with, embarrassed of the conversations where I swore I was right, and I'll still have more of them.
We can all do that too.
But the truth is, it's a terrible feeling.
Your lived experience as a soldier, Adam's lived experience as a soldier, everybody who's in here, Brady, everybody, right? They all have lived, even if they're not soldiers, when they're a bit older, they have a lived experience. They've seen enough of the world. You might think we're a bit cynical, but maybe we're actually just a little bit wiser.
If you've been married, you know what war feels like, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, yes, I could say that too. Yes, yeah.
Okay, there you go. Smokey B says Jacinda Ardern used to work in a takeaway store before being a dictator.
And that is what she is.
She also
Make no
apparently
mistake.
borrowed money off Red Corn
Big
Chip
red corn chip.
for a COVID relief package. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all, because she definitely, there's something scrupulous about her, and I've got a lot of things I don't really want to mention on here.
I'm not a fan of socialism.
It's dangerous to have my voice, on here and have someone knock on the door and say made claims.
Yeah, we might be in line with the algorithm now, but we still have to stay in the flags. Marksy is there, Marksy 010 with $10.
The yellow cow's got me.
Yellow cow.
Mutsu Cow, he says, with the power of a 7-year-old child.
Are you a bit tired?
No, look, guys, I just really had to, put this out there tonight that, everyone seems to be barracking for Zelensky like it is their football team. And you go, hey, but he has...
It's true.
We hear about people that want to be officers on here all the time, and you go, but sometimes you've got to choose the bad decision, and it doesn't...
It's right.
And it's not in line with the vote.
Not the popular opinion. Exactly.
You're going to save... look, if you said, for example, if Japan had not given up, if Germany had not given up, what would the world look like now? All the people that didn't get to grow up from a child and then learn from the mistakes of their fathers, or whether it be economically, whether it be militarily, whether it be socially, you don't want a wasteland, and there has to come a time where both countries go, there should be children that get brought in at the start of every serious meeting between the UN, before NATO, before Congress, when the people get to speak, just a nominated group of kids, they think it's all about them. They walk through, hello, waving to remind people, this is the cost of you being unable to communicate with a foreign power and now using their own fathers, to hold the wolf at bay. Would you have the balls to look back in those kids' faces and still say it ain't my fault, as you get onto your boat pretending to like olives and red wine, and then saying you're the victim when you get gout?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree. Sorry, I was a bit caught up in the chat. And I think again, it's important that we have these conversations, and our minds could change next week if something else comes up, because the truth is this is changing quite quickly. Like today, it changed everything. But I actually don't think there's going to be any speaking sense to Russia at this point.
And that's why I say
it's going to
all
fall on Zelensky's shoulders.
It's going to be on
and
you.
That's sad, but it is. And also, a leader really needs to be able to stand up when everyone else is sitting.
Yep. I like that.
Yeah, it's true though.
Yep. Everyone is going to be looking at him to make the right decisions, and eventually he's not going to look so cool defending. Eventually it's going to be, how long is this going to go on for? Are you going to keep letting your people go? Do you remember the saying that Achilles said, true movie, you might have seen it, it's called Troy, when Brad Pitt walks past when he's going to go and fight the guy from Boggo Road. And he says, wouldn't it be amazing to see a leader fight his own war?
Exactly. Yeah, that's good thinking, Lurker. You're probably right. He said, I wouldn't be letting kids near the UN.
Good point. Yeah.
That is a good point. But they should have to look into their eyes, at least.
Yep.
Because sometimes I don't think we should be listening to children, but we just need to look into their eyes, and then hopefully your heart will start beating again.
Just understand that they are the costs of a breakdown of communications,
Yeah. Well, he's not an actor anymore. He is the leader of this nation, and he can set the standard here, and he has to. And sadly, it's a decision I would not want to make.
Ace, wouldn't it be funny to, this would have put a cat amongst the pigeons around world leaders if they had have said, ScoMo, would you take up a stire to defend Australia? What about you, Mr. Biden? Would you take up a weapon yourself? What about Every
God,
other
I wouldn't want to
country.
be near Sleepy Joe with a weapon.
What about all the people from the UN Security Council? Would you be willing to take that up and give up your chauffeur-driven cars, and your Perrier drinking water, which we all know actually came from a soda stream? Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty cars. Got this guy on 57-year-old. I thought you were 56. Fit a
Well,
machinist
maybe
and
he had
jealousy
a
on the.
birthday.
And just to make it a little bit cooler, warmer here, team, because by the look of the likes button, not everyone's happy with what they're hearing tonight, but that's okay because the conversation, we've got to have it.
It's
But
difficult.
on Monday, I'm going to be in Gosford, which is East Coast, just north of Sydney for those that don't know. And that is because my van has officially turned up and they're about to take a power saw to the roof
Wow.
and then chop
That's
the car to
exciting.
pieces, and I will have the camper van probably less than a month from now.
Yeah,
Yep.
that is exciting, isn't it?
Yep. Leroy
And
Majors.
we have to remember we are in the lucky country and we need to appreciate it, our peace, while we have it.
Yeah, we do. Leroy Majors, did you see ScoMo welding? No?
Yeah. It was
You're right.
hilarious.
Kid. I didn't
He
see it.
lifted up his welding mask when he was doing it.
Oh, really?
Yes, so don't give him a weapon.
Oh, my God. What was he
Yeah.
thinking?
No, I can't believe you missed that. It was like front page news for a little while.
Look, I honestly
for a
can't.
second.
I almost can't look at, unless it's to do with the floods and stuff, I can't watch mainstream media. It kills me. It really does. Guys and gals, you going bush, Kaz? Nah. Horseboy, I don't go bush, mate. I like to stick to the east coast. I like to go near the water. I like to jump off jetties. Overall, I've found the best camera, despite what Mr. Buckaroony says, is actually the GoPro. The GoPro 10 being the lowest version I'd go for, and any after this, I'll buy more of them. They're fantastic. For that not enough to worry about robustness, etc. Using them for making videos, the actual noise quality is pretty good too. If you give 30 seconds after they've been submerged, don't need to wipe the screens, they're great. So I'll be doing some travelling up and down the coast. I'm not going to go probably further north than Noosa. There's no reason to. There's nothing to see. For more than 1,500 kilometres on the north side of Brisbane, pretty much. When I go down south, Tassie, naturally, I do need to get to the west coast. I've got an infatuation with oyster farming. I'd love to go down to the Great Ocean Roads again. It's the slowest, best drive you could possibly do, either listening to the ocean, looking at koalas while eating a koala pie, and listen to a podcast.
Don't say that.
Yep.
You'll get chlamydia back. Okay.
All you got to do is have one doxycycline, team. One doxycycline, and you get rid of
It'll fix
that.
anything short of lost limbs. Okay, Richie Wallace has said, I see what you're saying, guys, but from what I've seen from them so far, I don't reckon the Ukrainians will ever give up. And that's just the civilians. And you know what, Richie? I feel the same.
So do I.
Here's the thing. We don't know what the solution is. And this is where it gets really tricky. And it's tricky for everyone, from us civilians trying to unpack this, through to the armies having to follow orders, through to the people sitting in the UN. This is really difficult for everyone to find a solution.
And there's a massive difference between being a man with no children and no family, big arms, beautiful jacket, nice weapon, but what happens when, bam, when you have kids, you're going to see a breakdown in communication when they're going, I want to see my kid again. We're not going to win this. We're going to get broken down. And guess what? Russia is going to get crueler and crueler and crueler to win. Once they actually do the encirclement of Kyiv, that we're going to see some really potentially horrible block-to-block fighting, where as soon as an initiation of contact occurs, buildings will get leveled.
Exactly. And you guys really should, if you haven't already, check out the anonymous leaks of the security cameras all over Ukraine. It's actually very, very interesting. Nureyev, who is joining very soon, I think he said March the 22nd, said definitely Australia is an amazing country. I can say it. I came from Venezuela. Well, we are very glad to have you. welcome.
Mates,
Yeah.
I used to have a lot of Colombian soldiers working with me when I was in the multi-force organisation over in the Sinai Peninsula, and that was before you started really having a hard time with each other. And mate, Venezuela at the time, yous were flying, Neville, yous were doing really well, and then your leaders took you down the wrong path. And mate, really sorry to hear. You're more than welcome here, mate. We loved our South American friends. And I basically said one of the funny things was that Colombia and Venezuela were not getting along at all politically, but were getting on absolutely fine, as people on either side of the border to each other. So that was testament to what we say, that leaders should sometimes look through the eyes of the children instead of bureaucrats and those that eat olives or pretend to like the taste of wine.
Exactly. Now, I've got a question here for you. You've been deployed under the UN banner, correct?
Yep. Yes.
Would you say the UN is useless, having been worked with them? I thought you guys met some pretty good objectives.
I thought they were useless.
Yeah, they're not good to work.
Yep. They don't really have a kinetic means. What
do you mean by that? Explain that to me.
So they'll send you to watch what's happening. Rwanda was a United Nations mission. One of the Timor trips was a United Nations mission. I believe even Korea was a United Nations mission. And when you go there, there isn't a seek out and close the enemy, kill or catch him, seize and hold the ground, repel attack by day or night, regardless of season, weather, or terrain mindset, despite the fact that that was who they paid to go to then go and do a job. So quite often they will go, okay, we want a marquee country to represent the leadership of a team, which could be Canada, it could be Australia, it could be Britain, it could be a foreign country. But then what they'll do is they will surround it with the lowest paid possible soldiers so they can absolutely inundate that country with multiple non-dialect sharing allies for a period of time, but with rules of engagement that actually keep you from preventing further atrocities from occurring.
Okay.
And when it does happen, it's normally a phone call, watch, observe, report, than what it is stop the threat, and it doesn't happen on your watch. Now, if you're going to be United Nations, you should have the power to be the cop on the ground. Peacemaking, there's peacekeeping, which means you go and watch, you report, and then there's peacemaking where you use physical leadership capability to get in the way and actually take the fight to whoever the aggressor is.
Hey, JP's here. He said Korea was the first UN mission.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, folks, it's okay for people to have different politics, okay? Let's just remember that we are quite a diverse crowd. Let's just not ram our politics down each other's throats.
That's it.
Let's not get caught up in the little things, okay? Smokey B thinks the UN is a little shady.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, look, all of those organisations are going to have levels of corruption, because you try and find any committee that doesn't have some level of corruption. Look at your local council. And you know who's to blame for that? Us humans. Because when we're really selfish, and especially in today's climate with this narcissistic message we keep getting, if we keep just looking after ourselves, it's going to just get more and more corrupt.
Who said that fantastic question then about the UN?
That was the question about it. What the
corruption of the UN?
Oh no, that was my question, because I see there's folk in the chat who aren't really fans of the UN at all.
Yeah, and I'm not. Let's ask, shall we? Hey Siri. Hey Siri.
She's not joining in.
Second phone. Hey Siri. Siri. Take it. All right. Okay, maybe you guys can do it. What is the annual budget of the United Nations? Find out that for us, can someone put that in the chat now? Because I guarantee, what would be the price of, or the amount of money that just disappears to UNHCR? How much money disappears on, what would we say, on administration, on leadership? It would be insane. All that money just disappears, and when you work there long enough, you just come home to your mansion, your villa.
Yep, exactly.
Hey,
Right.
JP, how you going?
I can only find the budget. It's like over $3 billion.
Windscreens O'Brien reckons the budget it comes up is just too much. That's what's written there.
It's over $3 billion, and that was 2020's numbers.
We had where are we, JP? Did you see that the sniper took out a Russian general? You know, that's one in your feather cap right there. I don't know how the hell you get close enough as a sniper in an urban environment to be taking out generals and still getting out of there. He's got some pretty big balls. Liam, it'd be a lot more than $3.1 billion, I'd imagine, mate.
Well, that's what their number is. That's what they're saying it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's $3 billion. It's 3 point something.
I guess that's
billion.
a lot. I guess it is a lot.
And it's an increase of 8 million.
Yeah, one of the saddest things, which a lot of people probably don't know, thanks there, 4x4 driver, was Jack Son.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Son of Jack. When you work for the United Nations, what basically happens is there's money that they give. Say you have soldiers that you're using from India. The Indian soldiers don't get paid a penny basically on top of what their actual deployment money would be from their own country. When Australia goes, Canada goes, the money is not taken by Australia. It actually is given to us. A lot of the UN money actually goes to the soldier, which makes it more financially beneficial. It's like having 2 paydays when you deploy to a United Nations mission.
Yeah, right. That's crazy.
Leo reckons Siri works for UN.
Yeah, I think so too. Well, we know Alexa does.
Kirsty, how much do you really weigh, mate? I'm working on.
Don't worry about that. It's fine. There's a bit of heat. People are heated. People are fired up, and I understand. This is something worth getting fired up over. This is something that the world. If this doesn't make you feel something, then you're dead inside.
Glad people care, but one thing we need to all remember is we are sitting in a building that's not getting shot at.
Exactly right. Yep. And like I said, it's fine to have differing opinions, but we're really not playing the propaganda game here.
Yep. And you know what? Even in the last week, a bunch of times I think that I found a tie, a lead, only to find out it was just bullshit.
Yep, I actually just don't even believe anything until I've checked it.
And it's coming from both sides. It's coming from both sides too, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. It is from both sides, and checked the actual history of it, and then double checked the history, and it's even getting really more and more difficult to pick apart the truth. And at the end of the day, we do need to, if it came to the crunch, we need to support our nation and our nation's allies.
Yep. Jackson, son of Jack.
Is Jackson.
Ah, shit. Chernobyl drinking water. Not too cow. Has anyone seen MK tonight? MK Ultra?
No, I haven't seen MK.
MK Ultra, for those who don't know it, go and have a look at it. Very interesting.
Yeah, I hope everyone who's in the floods is doing okay.
Yeah, it's we've had some guys go down. The waters have dropped in Lismore. Some of our mates went down to go and help one of our other Rwanda buddies, but they couldn't get through. So they'll continue to do that. One of the tragedies of Lismore is there's people that are not insured, that have people on either side of them that are insured. So you're going to see other homes just bouncing back while others may become a wasteland and be land value only. Jacko, thank you for your fantastic donation there, putting some petrol in the Blue Mobile that's about to be on the road next month. What's your question, man? You can't just throw a donation and have nothing to say. We want to hear. Look at that for a fantastic thumbnail.
Jackson asked a question before. No, it's not a big thumb. It's someone flexing.
No, I'm talking about... sorry. He must have said something wrong.
Yeah. What he said wasn't incorrect, but it's just we don't want to be encouraging folk to be doing that. That's
okay.
All. Jason has said, can I post a link? If it's to the UN budget, go for your life.
Yeah, you can. Guys and girls, can we just make one thing really clear? This is not one of those YouTube channels that doesn't allow self-promotion. Very rare will someone do self-promotion and people leave what they're actually watching, interested in, etc. But if you have a YouTube channel, just have the courtesy to let us know that you have a YouTube channel, and basically we will tell people, go and check them out. Do it.
Yeah, for sure we will. Yeah, we want to lift you up.
We're not exclusive, guys.
No, exactly. Exactly right. We want to help you out.
Nan's house in Ballina. What a beautiful place. Ballina is one of my favourite places.
Yeah, you're always going on about it.
They've had since 71, the year I was born.
Oh, there you go. Good year.
Was on a...
centimetres away from being ruined. Oh, gosh. I hope Nan's all right.
You know what? That's what some beautiful women have said to me when they almost took me home. They were only centimetres from being ruined.
That's funny.
I tell you what, guys, one of the scariest things when you are deployed overseas, indicative of why I chose this to be the wall here at the moment, is when you're patrolling in an urban facility. You are basically just trusting that your eye contact is not getting you in trouble, that you are not going to be the serendipity person that walked in exactly the same space as someone who was born either 20 years before you or 20 years after you, deciding that guy. That's why this might sound funny to you, but never have your equipment look any different to anyone else's. Because if your equipment looks different, you might give an aiming point, or you might be something that stands out in someone who's waiting for that right guy to come past. And if you've got that card on your helmet, if you've got something that just stands out and makes you look different, that can be enough for you to be the one that's targeted.
Exactly. There is a reason why you're all uniform.
It's also to make a boy look like a man. That's why we cam up as well. Yeah. To give a more aggressive look to someone who looks like they're too young to fight.
Indeed. Stephen Webb, I haven't seen Deadpool tonight. Where is Deadpool tonight, Kaz? Everyone's wondering.
There is a group. Deadpool, I will not call him that. That's fake news. That is
we all
Robin.
know it's Robin playing dress up.
Deadpool repairs. Robin does not. They are the ones that are waiting in they're military guys that are waiting in an area to be able to get through the floodwaters to be able to go and help another military guy who's now a scientist. So for those that think that infantry are dumb and you don't get a job after army, well, guess what? He's a scientist, and he's been employed since he got out of the army. Yeah,
exactly.
Horseboy's talking about don't talk about self-promotion. My name is Horseboy, hung low.
Yeah, you might be protesting too much. You might actually be promoting yourself so much that I think you might be proving something, trying to prove something.
Yeah. Guys and gals, I won't be here on Monday for the simple reason that I'll be in, like I said, in Gosford, going to get the van sorted out.
That's so exciting.
And what do you reckon? Camper van. It is so exciting to think that you can go, Kaz, we're going to put some wind behind your sails, and this is where we want you to go. And if it sounds fair, if there's people I can go and interview, I'd love to do it because I want normal Aussies, good-looking men, good-looking girls, keep yous all happy, to be on the lens, having a good time, and remembering how lucky we are to call Australia home now that the opening has occurred. I don't think they'll ever be able to close us down again after all this.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Lightfoot's just looking for backpack recommendations. Kaz, you got any?
No, I don't. For the simple reason that my pack was called the Abomination.
Your pack is famous. I heard about your pack before I ever even met you. I've heard it was so jacked up that it was famous.
It was.
My kids know about your pack.
It was taller and wider and hung at an angle.
We say to them, "What is that, Kaz's pack?"
It was terrible. It got to the stage where my pack was such a celebrity that it went to functions where people were drinking. They just wanted me to bring it to look at it. Yeah.
I've heard that people would be mesmerised by you're this guy who's a great soldier, got everything put together, but your pack is like on this weird angle and there's bits hanging out of the bottom and it's...
Well, when I used to work with Harry, I'd deliberately, to drive him crazy, used to pull bits of hoochie cord out so to dangle behind me and get caught on things just to really work with his
why not?
to work with his bloody, what do you call it, OCD,
OCD.
on
Yeah, exactly.
on that sort of
Because
shit. We're going to get out of here, team. The subject
Yeah.
tonight was hit or miss. You know, it matters to me. You know, it matters to
It
me,
matters to us, yeah.
and it's different. It's going a little bit deeper. There's no alternative motive to this other than the fact that you don't have to fight forever. You know, eventually you've got to look at the eyes of the children and say to them, are they going to have a country left to inherit? Or
would the civilians, here's a good question, sorry, before we go, would the civilians lay down their weapons even if he did?
Well, that's a different point, isn't it? You know, because everyone's got a different fight. If you don't have children, you know, and you don't know what you're fighting for, or if you're fighting for the wrong reasons, or you're fighting because that's just in your soul, you know, or you're an opportunist, or it gives you an excuse for bad behaviour. Everyone's fighting for different reasons.
It's true.
You know, but the last thing we need is for kids to lose their fathers, you know, for them to lose their families and to lose their futures.
And also, how many hospitals and power plants do we see raised before you've got to rebuild a whole country, or before it's a wasteland?
Yep.
They're good questions. They're hard questions. And, you know, if you don't want to think about it, it might be really time to think about it. Every
missile becomes another tradie's nightmare to try and fix.
Yeah, and the tradies are out there fighting. So, you know, they're not going to have any of them either. So it really is, you bring up a really good point. At what point is enough enough?
You know, sometimes you see a street fight where the guy that's losing just won't lay down. You're going, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you trying to prevent? Can we just find out? I need to know. 6 knots. What is your name about?
Oh, he did say, I believe he's got a boat, and that's the name of his boat. Sorry, don't know if it's a boat or a yacht or whatever, but I believe that's what he said.
Okay.
That's the name of his vessel, his seagoing vessel.
Well, you might be happy to know that what's on the menu, not long after, preferably get this van getting sorted, is a jet ski. Because, you know, I think you need some fantastic. I'm not trying to be like Youngbloods, nothing like that. You know, but
I don't even know who they are.
They're cool. Yeah, but the East Coast needs some representation. Take it easy. Look after your families. Understand that we are not at the moment sucked into something that we can't get out of. We are lucky to call Australia home. There's people that represent you in voice, that have represented you in person, that have seen what war looks like. It is not a fantasy. It is not even necessarily an adventure.
No,
you know,
exactly.
It is a reminder of how lucky you are to be Australian. So, guys and gals.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Take it easy. Thank you for your donations of time, your donations of comments. Okay, and thank you for being here.
Yeah.
And if you think of something better or something we need to know about, please put it in the comments below after this is finished rendering.
Yeah.
Because at the moment, the world is a chook with its head cut off, where everyone has the answers, but no one seems to have the actions.
Yeah, the truth is none of us have the answers.
Brady, all of them just hit Lauren.
Yeah, they did all at once. I can feel the love.
Yeah, right on the left infected elbow. See you later, team. Take it easy. Catch up. And Carl P is going to wake up in Kapuka tomorrow, and the food that he ate at the truck stop today will be on the porcelain in Kapuka tomorrow. You know, Hallway 11, prayers to those that are involved in the conflict, whether it be Russian, whether it be European anywhere, or whether it be Ukrainian. You got to know when to stop fighting. You got to know when to keep loving. See you later. Take it easy.
Bye.